Aguas Calientes is a major Quaternary caldera in Salta Province, Argentina. It is in the Central Volcanic Zone of the Andes, a zone of volcanism covering southern Peru, Bolivia, northwest Argentina and northern Chile. This zone contains stratovolcanoes and calderas. The activity of the Central Volcanic Zone is linked to the subduction of the Farallon Plate and later its splinter, the Nazca Plate. Below the South American Plate, the Aguas Calientes caldera is located on a Precambrian basement that was thrust over more recent layers of sediment. Aguas Calientes caldera was the source of two major ignimbrites, the Tajamar ignimbrite and the Verde ignimbrite. The first was erupted 10.5 to 10.1 mar ago and is a body of ignimbrite of about 350 cubic kilometers. The second was erupted 17.2 mar ago and has a volume of 140 to 300 cubic kilometers. Geography and structure. Aguas Calientes caldera lies in the northwestern Salta Province of Argentina, in the San Antonio de los Cobos district to the southeast of the town of the same name. Aguas Calientes caldera is part of the Central Volcanic Zone, which is located in southern Peru, northern Chile, southwestern Bolivia and northwestern Argentina in highlands over 4,000 meters high. At least 6 potentially active calderas, 44 active major and 18 active minor volcanoes, lie in this area, of which Nazca volcano is the most active. The largest eruption in historical times in the CVZ occurred in 1600 on Huaynaputina volcano in Peru. Aguas Calientes caldera is a roughly circular caldera limited on the western and eastern side by north-south trending fault systems. Two superimposed calderas form the volcanic system. Cerro Verde inside the caldera is a dome formed by the uplifting of the Verde ignimbrites in the caldera after the deposition and cooling. Cerro Aguas Calientes was formed in the same way from the Tajamar ignimbrites. Conclusions based in both cases on the outward dip of the ignimbrites contained in the domes. Geology. The Central Volcanic Zone, active mainly since the Miocene, is the volcanically active area of the Andes between 16 and 28 degrees south. Its activity is dependent on the subduction of the Nazca Plate, previously the Farallon Plate, below the South American Plate. This subduction process is responsible for the formation of the Andes and the volcanic activity on the eastern margin of the South American continent. Estimates of the volumes erupted and surface areas covered by the CVZ volcanoes in the Neogene vary. 7,300 cubic kilometers with a surface area 44,000 square kilometers for the latitudes 18 to 28 degrees south and 30,000 cubic kilometers with a surface area 70,000 square kilometers for the latitudes north of 25 degrees south have been calculated. In the southern segment of the CVZ, volcanic activity has varied over time. Before 26 Mar, volcanic activity was limited to a belt 100 to 230 kilometers from the Peru-Chile Trench. An increased subduction rate around 26 Mar, possibly related to the breakup of the Farallon Plate and change in the subduction direction, resulted in increasing activity and eastward migration of the activity. 14.5 to 5.3 Mar. The volcanic activity expanded laterally and reached a maximum 14.5 to 11.5 Mar with a width 307 kilometers and a maximum trench volcano distance of 520 kilometers. During this phase, volcanism in the western part of the CVZ was effusive. 11.5 to 8.3 ma. The volcanism moved back westwards, and after 5.3 ma it was restricted to a narrow belt 300 to 470 kilometers from the trench. The currently active belt is located 240 to 300 kilometers east of the trench. Local Aguas Calientes caldera is located on the late Neoproterozoic to early Cambrian Punkaviscana formation with turbiditic sandstone that was affected by metamorphism. A volcano-sedimentary or division sequence of marine origin is the only other Paleozoic structure in the area. The caldera itself is located on the Precambrian or division basement. The volcano is linked to the major Calama-Olacapato El Toro fault system that cuts the Andean chain in a northwest-southeast direction. This system also affects the Negra Muerta volcanic complex, Cerro Tuzgal, Chimpa volcanoes, and several smaller volcanic systems. The formation of this fault system and other thrust faults parallel to the Andes chain is linked to the compression and orogeny of the Andean chain. Since the Miocene geologic record, Aguas Calientes caldera was between 11 and 10 ma, the source of large-scale ignimbrite sheets. Aguas Calientes caldera is considered to be an overpressure caldera, where eruption is triggered by intrusions from the volcano's hill weaken the host rocks and cause the formation of fissures. Composition minerals in the Tajamar ignimbrite include biotite, hornblende, plagioclase, quartz and samogite. The eruption products are uniformly dacitic in nature. Hydrothermal alterations have generated SbO and PbAg zinc deposits that may be of economic importance. The La Palma Incatuel mining district northeast of the caldera is part of the volcanic system and contains argentiferous galena, sphalerite, antimonite and arsenopyrite. These deposits formed through hydrothermal, deuteric alteration and supergene processes and were influenced during the formation by local fault systems. Eruptive history. Aguas Calientes caldera erupted twice. Dacitic ignimbrites was the source of two major ignimbrites, the Tajamar ignimbrite and the Verde ignimbrite. The first was erupted 10.5 to 10.1 ma and is a body of ignimbrite of about 350 cubic kilometers. The second was erupted 17.2 ma and has a volume of 140 to 300 cubic kilometers. The Abra de Gallo ignimbrite was formerly considered the third and erupted 10.0 to 10.5 ma. Petrinovich al. Consider it part of the Tajamar ignimbrite. Both eruptions probably resulted from a disruption of the magma chamber integrity by vertical faults created through the activity of horizontal fault systems in the region. There is no evidence of Plinian eruption columns in the eruption deposits, and the chemistry of the deposits indicates they originated in a homogeneous magma chamber. The first eruption, which took place 17.15 ma, was the first caldera-forming episode, and the eruption occurred through a central vent. Its deposit, the Verde ignimbrite, is pumice-rich and green in color. The deposits in thickness range from more than 520 meters on Cerro Verde to 80 meters in the southern outcrops. It covers a surface area of about 650 square kilometers. After the eruption, the Verde ignimbrites were tectonically deformed and partly buried by the Tajamar ignimbrites. The second eruption was more extensive and covered at a minimum 2,265 square kilometers. Starting from the caldera rim, it is clearly distinguishable in two units, the intracaldera Chorlas and the extracaldera Tajamar units, which were formerly considered to be separate events. The Chorrillos deposits are gray-colored and have pumice fragments of less than 5 cm diameter. They also contain breccia lenses. The Tajma deposits overlay the Chorrillos deposits and have a red to pale pink color. The ash flows from the eruption flowed out of the caldera, forming flow structures similar to large lava flows. The deposits underwent some devitrification due to vapor action. This ignimbrite has a maximum thickness of 450 meters on Cerro Aguas Calientes in the caldera center and thins to less than 100 meters away from the volcano. Post-caldera activity included hydrothermal geothermal activity and may have migrated westward to the neighboring Cueva volcanic center. Subsequent to the caldera formation, the caldera floor was uplifted for 800–1000 meters. Shoshonitic eruption products dated 0.8 to 0.2 Ma have been found in the caldera.